All right, this is for iReady Writing Lesson 5, Step 4, Organize Your Evidence. Now you can find this on page 140. If you'll go to the top of the page, please. Let's follow along with me as I read. Let's read together, okay? Now that you've gathered information from your sources, it's time to organize it. We're going to group each purpose for animal communication with examples that illustrate or explain the purpose more completely. Then provide a brief explanation for how each type of communication helps the animals survive. Each purpose and its supporting information will be a section in your book chapter. See, we have the book. We're going to do the book chapter, and it's going to be in sections, right? I mean, that's just like the way the mentor text has. So, look at the modeled instruction down below that. And it says, to organize her ideas and examples, Bella has created the chart below. She added a detail from her first source, Incredible Animal Ears. That's the one with the elephants. Now she needs to add details from her second source, Dances with Animals. Please read this part. Notice the organization of Bella's chart. Read the excerpt and choose another example to support her purpose. Then make an inference, a good guess, to complete the last row. So it says right here, we should probably read the excerpt, and then we're going to choose another example to support her purpose. So the excerpt says, as she traces a figure 8 on the dance floor, the follower bees touch her with their antennae. They sense the odors of apple blossom nectar and pollen cling to her body. These workers also detect the scent she used to mark the distant flowers. A flight plan is coded in her movements. The length of the waggle run tells workers how far the flowers are from the hive. Its angle tells them how to get there. Because bees steer by the sun, the dancer links her directions to its position in the sky. And we have already marked off, just like she has here in her excerpt, the P for sharing information. That's purpose. And the purpose of the animals communicating is to share information. Now we have to find an example of that. An example of them sharing information is just basically the bottom part. The length of the waggle run tells workers how far the flowers are from the hive. The angle tells them how to get there. And the dancer links her directions to his position in the sky. Okay, good enough. Now, the purpose. We have to look over here. Purpose. Animals communicate to share information. So we're looking at Bella's chart, and it says, animals communicate to share information. Okay. The bees, are they doing that? Yes, they are here. But her example first talks about elephants. And she read the story Incredible Animal Ears, and she added a detail. And the detail was elephants use low rumbling sounds to send messages to one another, including warnings. Now, that is how they do it. That is an example of elephants communicating with each other to share information. Now, I need you to give me an example of how honeybees communicate to share information. And it says right there, we have just read how they do it, and I want you guys to not go word for word what we have written down already. Can you come up with your own finishing sentence here? Honeybees do what? Honeybees do a dance. Why? So I'm going to let you answer that. Oh, we're going to come up with my own answers now. Mean old Mr. Spader. If you have any questions, we'll talk again around whenever we can talk again. So at the end of the day. Now we have left over how down below this we have that was an example. Now down below this, how does this help animal survival? Why would elephants use the low rumbling sounds to send messages to one another, including warnings? Warnings. They would warn that there's danger nearby. That would help with animal survival, right? Okay, that there's danger nearby. And that's what they would do if we were doing that. But we're going to do the one for honeybees, okay? Actually, it's honeybees and elephants for this one, actually. So, how does communicating to share information help animal survival? Well, not just for... They don't just share information about nearby danger, but they also share information just like the honeybees. What are they doing? They're trying to get food, right? All right. So what they're saying here is animals help each other. These different kind of species help each other in order to stay alive, to survive, the survival of their species. You can word that however you want. But I'm moving on, so if you're working on that, pause and then unpause, and hey, we're back. We're now on page 141, guided practice. At the top it says, read the following excerpt from Dances with Animals. Continue helping Bella fill in her chart by completing the activities. Use the hints for help. And so let's follow the directions. It says, read the following excerpt. So when two Annelies meet, they really get going. To appear bigger and scarier, they raise a scaly ridge or crest along their backs and develop dark spots behind their eye sockets. They turn to the side to present the broadest part of their bodies to each other. The dance ends when one backs down. Spectacular spiders. With their 8 legs, wolf spiders have a hairy chorus line attached to their bodies. When males meet, they challenge each other. They move back and forth, raising their brush-covered forelegs and waving their palps, jaw-like feelers. One spider lunges, the other backs away. If they're evenly matched, they may switch roles and the fleeing male becomes the chaser. So now we have to help Bella fill in her chart. And the purpose here is animals communicate to defend themselves or their territory. One of the examples that she uses here for the Annalie is an example of the animals communicating to defend themselves is the Annalie morphs or changes its body and turns itself in order to appear bigger. What does the wolf spider do in order to communicate that they will defend themselves? Now, if you think about it, even if they're fighting, they're still communicating. They're saying, hey, you back off. This is my area, or you're not going to eat me, or you're not going to hurt me. So what does the wolf spider do? What is an example of the wolf spider communicating to defend themselves or their territory? So you write the answer down here, please. I'm going on to the next part. How does this help animal survival? The Annalie changes its body and turns itself in order to appear bigger. And whatever that wolf spider does to save itself, what does that do? How does that help animal survival? Well, if they don't do that little dancy poo or whatever it is, or make themselves appear bigger, then they might get eaten, or they might lose their territory, or they might get injured in a fight. And no animal really wants to fight. That's why they do all these big puffy things and they try to get bigger so that they don't have to fight. That way they can live until they don't have to fight. That's wonderful. So how would you think? So that's kind of the answer. So you take that and you make that your own answer. We've kind of done 1, 2, and 3 here. Number 1 says, read the examples in Bella's chart. Underline the details in the excerpt that Bella used to wrote this note in her chart. So the example up at the top says the anole morphs itself, morphs or changes its body and turns itself in order to appear bigger. That was the example she wrote. But over here in the main part of this, in the story, okay, in the story that we get our information from, it says they really to appear bigger and scarier. They raise a scaly ridge or crest along their backs and develop dark spots behind their eye sockets. They turn to the side to present the broadest part of their bodies to each other. We don't want to write all that because those are someone else's words, and what they've done is she's changed it into something else. So underline those details that we just read in the excerpt that Bella used to write that note in her chart. Two and 3 we have basically just done. All right. I would like AJ to talk to you a little bit more today at the end of 3 o'clock. If you're having questions about this or the way we're going to organize our information, okay? I do want to get you I'm going to post an organization chart. I'm going to have you download it. I'm passing them out in class today, and we're going to talk about that today. So do your best with that, and you and I will talk today at 3 o'clock. Good luck, man. So, yeah.